we're a quarter of the way done with this series now. I've already talked about what the top 10 bestest songs for each year the first half of the 2000s are. Now let's move on to the second half of the 2000s and talk about what the top 10 bestest songs for 2005 are. This was the year I turned 6 years old. I still wasn't really listening to the radio or really paying attention to contemporary music at this time. I'll tell the story of when I did start actively consuming contemporary music a couple videos from now. However, when I did start paying attention to then modern music, that did open me up to listening to many songs in the 2000s, including some of the songs I'll be talking about in this video and have already talked about in some of the previous videos in this series. But right now, I'm specifically talking about the popular music of 2005. I will say, it was great to re-listen to many of these songs again. I do have nostalgia for many of these songs. That being said though, there weren't really any standout songs on the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list. When it comes to many of my previous bested songs lists, when listening through all the eligible songs, I could often instantly tell what the number one best song of the year would be as soon as I heard it. Oftentimes, there was one song that stuck out to me above the rest and was the obvious choice for number one, even though I'm leaving for the 2020 list, Easy on Me from the 2022 list, Never Had a Dream Come True from the 2001 list, Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning from the 2002 list, and Where's the Love from the 2003 list. 2005 didn't really have an obvious number one best song. There wasn't any one song that stood out to me above the rest. Well, positively that is. There was a song that stood out to me as a number one worst hit song of 2005, which... Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to be doing any worst hit songs videos for 2019, but I am going to make a quasi-exception here. The number one worst hit song of 2005 was so bad that I couldn't just reveal what it was and leave it at that. Here are the number 10 to 2 worst hit songs of 2005 if you're wondering. As for the number 1 worst hit song of 2005, I decided to make an unlisted bonus video, not only revealing what that song is, but going in depth as to why it's so atrocious, like I do in all my worst hit songs videos revealing my number 1. Link to that bonus video is in the description and card. In fact, why don't you pause this video, go watch it, and then come back. I'll wait for you. Hey, welcome back, and I'm deeply sorry for playing you a clip of that song in that video, but to make up for that, time to cleanse your palate by talking about some actually good songs. Reminders as always that 1. Go watch my previous best and worst songs list, especially those in this top 10 best songs of 2019 series, to avoid any more spoilers for songs I talked about there. 2. Only songs that debut on the 2005 Billboard year-end Hot 100 list are eligible, so don't expect these 6 songs to also be the 2004 list, or any songs not on the list to be here. And 3. This list is just my opinion. Don't get upset at me if you don't agree with my picks or ordering. Let me know in the comments what your favorite hit songs of 2005 are. Okay, time to talk about what the top 10 bestest songs of 2005 are, starting with number 10.
Somehow find you and I collide.
You ever have one of those songs that you know you heard as a kid, but you didn't go out of your way to listen to again until many years later? Well, that was my experience re-listening to Collide by Howie Day for this list. I actually remember the song being in a different key than it was actually in upon re-listening to it. I think I was conflating with a different song with a similar melody on its chorus. This song was actually a lot higher on this list. I originally had it as number 4 when I first came up with my top 10, but then I got demoted down to number 5, and while I was writing the script, it got demoted even further down to number 10. I'm glad my opinions changed and I reordered the list before it was too late to change it. But anyway, this song is fitting a similar niche to John Mayer, as an acoustic folk-tinged soft rock song with sweet lyrics. I can definitely see some people finding this song to be too saccharine, but like I said before, I'm a sucker for saccharine acoustic ballads, and I will admit that, yeah, me demoting this song to the bottom of the list does mean definitely did cool on me when I re-listened to my top 10 picks again for writing the script, but that doesn't mean I don't like Collide. I wouldn't be talking about it on this list if I didn't like it. The melody is pleasant and foot-tapping, and it sounds perfect for this kind of soft rock acoustic song. Not to mention the occasional harmonization and bits of electric guitar and strings help make the song feel more pleasant. And as for the lyrics, it's a love song about how you and your partner come together even despite your insecurities and shyness. You're quiet and scared to know that you're always on their mind. Your mind is full of doubt. Yet despite your nervousness, you and your partner still collide. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. You may have lost your place, but you're close behind. The soft rock sound does feel the emotions of nervousness, yet still feels gentle enough to be a love song. And the do 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 sounds also to make it feel more pleasant. It's not super complex or original, but I think it does its job as a love song decently. I'll admit, part of the reason why the song fell from number 4 to number 10 on this list was the fact that it does feel rather simple. I know I praise many songs in my best hit songs videos that can be described as simple but effective, and this song does fall into that category to some extent, but it's still not a song that does much more beyond that. It's good and worthy of being on this list, but compared to what's coming up next, it's simply decent. Now let's talk about an even better song.
Cause a Mississippi girl don't change her ways, just cause everybody knows her name.
Here's the only country song that'll be making this list, Mississippi Girl by Faith Hill. As far as hit country songs in 2005 go, there weren't really many options to pick from. Only 3 country songs made the 2005 year and Hot 100 list, the fewest of any year I've talked about so far in this series. Inside Your Heaven by Carrie Underwood was the best performing, hitting number 1 the Hot 100, as was the American Idol winner single, and it's probably the most well-remembered of all 3 2005 hit country songs. But in terms of quality, I had to pick Mississippi Girl as the best. Faith Hill is a great singer, and like she did with Breathe on the 2000 list, she delivered a really pleasant, upbeat country song. Unlike Breathe, however, Mississippi Girl is good enough to be among the top 10 best songs of the year, and not as an honorable mention. Lyrically, it quite reminds me of Jenny from the Block by Jennifer Lopez, and that's a song about how despite being famous and known around the world, the singer still remembers the place she came from, and insists that she's still the same person she once was. Faith Hill's still a Mississippi girl at heart, and nothing will ever change that, despite how far away she is from her hometown of Star. I really like how humble and modest the song sounds, with Faith Hill saying on the chorus that she's not big-headed from a little bit of fame, and how she still likes wearing her old baseball cap and giving her kids piggyback rides. Despite how busy being a famous singer might be, she can always find a little time to spend with her family. And on the first verse, she mentions how she still gets butterflies when she's in the spotlight, despite the fact that she was over 10 years into her music career by the time the song came out, and was presumably used to her celebrity status by that point. I'm not sure how honest it really is. Fame can change even people who try not to let their fame go to their head, but it's still a fun, well-written song that I can definitely appreciate. Again, Faith Hill's a great singer, and the happy major key sound and pedal steel solo on the bridge make the song so much fun. Not the most complex or interesting song, hence why it's not any higher on this list, but just like how I'm glad I managed to squeeze its way toward the bottom of the 2005 year-end list, I'm glad I managed to squeeze its way toward the bottom of my list of the top 10 best songs on that list. Not sure if I call it Faith Hill's best hit single, but it's still a very good song from a true authentic Mississippi girl. Hope she never changes her ways.
Till I get to see the tears I cry behind these hazel eyes.
Well look, it's Kelly Clarkson again. It's my 3rd time talking about a song of her in this series, and she had 3 songs debut in the 2005 year and Hot 100 list. All 3 songs are pretty good, but Behind These Hazel Eyes is my personal favorite out of all of them. It's a post-breakup song about feeling sad and broken up inside about a past relationship ending. Everything felt right when you were with your partner. You were unbreakable, strong, and stood tall. You opened up to them and told them everything about you, and they made you feel alright. But now, you can't breathe or sleep and are torn to pieces now that you're alone. You thought your ex-partner was the one, but they weren't. They won't get to see the tears you cried now that you're alone. You don't cry on the outside anymore. You're together again, but you're still broken up inside, and seeing your ex-partner now just kills you. Even though the song seems to imply that the ex-partner broke up with the protagonist, not the other way around, with the swallow me then spit me out line on the bridge, the line right after, for hating you I blame myself, reinforces that they still miss their partner deep down despite being dumped. It's not the most original song lyrically, but it's still well written enough to make for an enjoyable song. Of course, we got the legendary Max Martin on the writing here, plus a certain now controversial but still incredibly talented pop songwriter and producer here as well. This duo has created some really catchy pop songs, including a couple more songs I'll be talking about in future videos in this series, and they definitely managed to deliver here. The song's melody is catchy, and despite the post-breakup lyrics, it is upbeat. I'm certainly thankful for that, as I don't think the song would have worked as well as a ballad. Plus, the next single from Breakaway, Because of You, was also a ballad, and I don't think we needed 2 ballads in a row. Yet the upbeat sound doesn't clash with the lyrics. It's not overly peppy like the previous single from Breakaway, and it fits here perfectly. And of course, Kelly Clarkson is still a fantastic singer. I mean, she won American Idol for a reason, and while her vocals don't sound as incredible as they did on A Moment Like This, she still sounds pretty good, even if the song isn't the best showcase of her vocal talent. She's at her best when she hits the higher notes, like the Anymore on the bridge, and her background vocals on the final chorus. It's not quite Clarkson's best, but it is a close competitor with Breakaway's title track as the best single on the album, and it's easily Clarkson's best hit song of 2005. Here's the second song by Coldplay to not only make a year-end Hot 100 list, but also make my top 10 best songs of the year it was released. In fact, Speed of Sound might be even better than 2003's Clocks. It is 1 spot higher on this best list than Clocks was on its best list. While not as dreamy and ethereal as that song, Speed of Sound does still have the atmospheric rocky sound, backed by piano melody, Chris Martin's soft vocals, and mysterious lyrics. It's a similar sound, but it's also different, as it feels much more happy with its brighter sound, as if to give the song a sense of awe and wonder. Both songs do still sound like they're from the same band though. However, I think where the song gets most interesting is with the lyrics. Again, they're very mysterious and poetic, and it's not immediately obvious what message it's conveying, but the interpretation I got from the lyrics is that it's about one's own inventive spirit, and how one's own invention can go on to become groundbreaking. The title lyric, Birds Go Flying at the Speed of Sound to Show You How It All Began, is inspirational to the person who invented the flying machine. Birds can fly, so maybe humans can one day invent something that allows them to fly too. I wonder if that's what inspired the Wright brothers. It might seem like an insurmountable task, but as the first verse says, if you never try, then you'll never know. know. You don't know how long it'll be before you get in and begin, or keep on climbing this mountain of yours, but every chance you get is a chance you seize. And the third verse is more blatant with this interpretation, with lyrics like, ideas you'll never find, all the inventors could never design, and some things you have to believe, but others are puzzles puzzling me. And finally, on the bridge, we have the lines, all those signs I knew what they meant, some things you can invent, some get made and some get sent. Some invention ideas get made and some don't. Some people are born with talents, perhaps being sent by God, and some people acquire them. This interpretation of the lyrics really fits with the atmospheric, wondrous sound of the song. Some ideas will inspire others and be a wonder to the world. Even if that's not how you interpret the song, it still sounds awesome regardless. Coldplay is a fantastic band. I really wish Fix You had made the 2005 year-end list too. That song's even better than Speed of Sound. But the band's one song to be a hit in 2005 was still great. If you could hear it, then you'd understand.
On holiday.
Now it's time to talk about Green Day. Fun fact, this band didn't have any Billboard year-end hits until 2005. Due to rules Billboard had back in the late 90s, only songs with physical releases were eligible to chart on the Hot 100, and as such, plenty of very popular songs during that time that got lots of airplay never made the Hot 100, and as such, any year-end list until December 1998. As such, none of Green Day's popular 90s songs like When I Come Around or Good Riddance Time of Your Life were ever year-end hits. Well, to make up for that, I guess, Green Day had 3 hits from their 2004 album American Idiot make the 2005 year-end list, 7 years after the rules for Hot 100 eligibility were adjusted. Right now, let's talk about the third single from American Idiot, Holiday. Like the album's title track, which didn't chart high enough to be a year-end hit, Holiday is a politically charged pop-punk banger that harshly criticizes war. The song criticizes not only involvement in war itself, but also the corruption of politicians supporting said war, caring only about lining their own pockets and soldiers dying on the battlefield, or anyone getting caught in the crossfire, completely ignoring the protests and outcry from much of the public who were opposed to said war. Given the song came out during the midst of the war in the Middle East following 9/11, Billy Joe Armstrong was definitely putting a lot of his own views on the matter into his material here. It's a song that I'm sure definitely hit home to many people at the time. Yet the title lyric, "This is the dawning of the rest of our lives on holiday," does to reflect how many Americans at the time were apathetic to what was happening and perhaps not speaking out enough on seemingly important issues. I'll admit I was just a kid when the Iraq War happened, and I definitely wasn't paying attention to current events myself at this time. It's a song that becomes a lot more poignant when you consider the political climate of the time. Heck, some elements of the song still ring true to this day. 20 years later, and America is still partaking in conflicts in the Middle East. I'll admit that bridge is maybe a bit too provocative, mostly due to the use of a certain homophobic slur, and even comparing the then current administration to 1930s Germany. Plus, I'm not a fan of Armstrong's chanting compared to his singing, but it doesn't totally ruin the song, and even ignoring the lyrics altogether, the song is still a banger. It's catchy as sin, and in particular, that guitar riff that plays in the intro and following every chorus is incredibly memorable. Yet it wasn't even Green Day's best hit song of 2005. You wanna know what was?
My shadow's only one that walks beside me.
It's funny, American Idiot is a concept album, and each track transitions into the next. This is the song that comes right after Holiday on the album, and in the album's story. It's an incredible coincidence that I'm talking about the next song after Holiday on the album as the next song on this list. Now I should mention here that I haven't heard American Idiot in full, and I'm not totally caught up on the album's overall narrative. I'm judging these songs on their own merits. Perhaps there is some context I'm missing here that makes the song even better, but as a song on its own, Boulevard of Broken Dreams is the 5th best hit song of 2005. It's not quite as upbeat as the previous Green Day single, going for a slower tempo and a more somber tone, fitting with a song about feeling lonely, walking a lonely deserted road, accompanied only by your shadow and shallow beating heart. Yet the song never sounds boring, thanks to another very catchy melody and memorable guitar riffs, especially the one that plays after each stanza on the verses. Plus there's a little bit of piano before the second verse, and some decent harmonization on the chorus. Somehow, they managed to make a song about feeling lonely and isolated, not sound too slow or downbeat, yet not clash with the lyrics. It's also quite a dark song. I mean, I didn't expect a song called Boulevard of Broken Dreams to be full of hope and optimism. The protagonist doesn't know where this road goes, but they know they're walking past this boulevard of broken dreams and likely have lots of very complicated thoughts in their mind. On the second verse, they mention they're walking down the line that divides them somewhere in their mind on the borderline, implying that they have borderline personality disorder. And checking their vital signs to be sure they're still alive implies that they're not even sure whether they're living in reality anymore due to all the heavy thoughts weighing them down. And that becomes even more resonant when you consider the song that came just before it on the album. But on its own, you could interpret it as the protagonist being high or mentally ill. Even if you know nothing about the album it comes from, you can still enjoy the song on its own for its instrumentation, melody, and however you interpret the lyrics. Plus, unlike the previous Green Day song, its apolitical lyrics make it more easily accessible. I guess this is why it became Green Day's biggest song, peaking number 2 in the Hot 100 and being one of the top 10 biggest hit songs of the year. It is the highest song on the 2005 year-end list to be making this list, which would make it obvious that I think this song is fantastic.
Dance you and me and all other people.
Very glad to talk about Lifehouse again. As great as Hanging by a Moment from the 2001 list was, it wasn't even the band's best year-end hit. That goes to 2005's You and Me. I said in the 2001 video that Hanging by a Moment reminded me of something from a Christian rock band, akin to something you hear at a church service, mostly for its lyrics. Well, in terms of sound and instrumentation, I feel that way even more for You and Me. I can imagine a guitar player at a contemporary worship service playing these chords and singing in this exact melody, and the 6/8 time signature, harmonization in the second chorus, light strings behind the guitars, and overall softer feel really helped to make the song sound more beautiful, fitting for another love song. The instrumentation itself already makes the song better than Hanging by a Moment. It's a lot gentler, not going for a post-grunge sound like their previous hit was, while still hitting a crescendo and having a great melody to sing along to. Though like their previous hit, it is still a love song. I'll admit that maybe lyrically, it's not quite as interesting as Hanging by a Moment was, as it does contain its fair share of love song cliches, like saying that you can't keep your eyes off of someone, or the words you want to say to your crush aren't coming out right, or that everything she does is beautiful. But you know what? The pleasantness of how it sounds absolutely makes up for it. It's got almost a power ballad sound to it, which again, fits the love song lyrics. And it's not like the lyrics are nothing but cliches. I really like those two opening lines. What day is it? And what month? The clock never seems so alive. Just like Never Had a Dream Come True, it seems to imply the protagonist is losing track of time because all they can think about is the person that they love. Those two lines also close out the song as well. It's far from the only song to have bookended lines, but I do like it when songs do that, since it makes it feel a bit more poetic. I made the worship service comparison earlier, but it could also work as a wedding song as well. A bride and a groom could see it as a song all about you and me. Either way, it sounds like a song that would be playing in a church. It's thankfully not as saccharine as the previous acoustic ballad I already talked about on this list, which definitely helps to elevate this one up in terms of quality, and make it one of the top 5 best hit songs of the year. Though if you can believe it, it's not even the best acoustic ballad to be a hit in 2005, but I'll be getting to that a couple slots from now.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry, everything's gonna be alright.
As most of you who have seen my worst hit songs list would know, I'm not a fan of most modern mainstream rap. Rap/hip-hop has been by far the most represented genre in all of my worst hit songs lists, always making up at least half of every list. Same with the worst hit songs list I've been revealing in this series. That being said though, one rapper I'm a bit kinder to is Eminem. Compared to most other mainstream rappers, he doesn't have nearly as much grating production, and his great flow, poetic rhyming abilities, and tendency to rap about things besides sex, drugs, and violence definitely makes him a league above his competition in the genre. And sometimes, he can actually put out a really meaningful song, like in the case of this song, Mockingbird. While the song does sound very dour and minor key, a common criticism I've had about a lot of mainstream rap songs, Eminem's rapping and rhyming talents really help me to overlook it. Not only that, but this song is also a song directed at his daughter, Haley, assuring her that everything will be alright despite not being there due to being a rapper and trying to make money to support his family. He says that even when Haley's smiling or laughing, he can tell that she still feels sad deep down. His parents divorcing really affected her, but it's not like Marshall has it any easier. His attempts to keep Haley and Lainey sheltered from their parents being on the news all the time constantly backfire. The house they lived in kept getting robbed or broken into. $1,000 in a jar meant for his daughter's college fund got stolen. Yikes. You can definitely feel Eminem's disappointment that he didn't get to spend much time with his daughters. One time, their mother said some of their Christmas presents were from him, even though they weren't. And looking at their baby pictures and seeing how much they've grown just trips him out. Even though most of the song is directed at Haley, he also says at the end of the second verse that he's talking to Lainey too. And the chorus, interpolating the hushed little baby lullaby, really makes the song feel more intimate and personal to his daughters. He even holds out on saying any swears until the very end when he finally drops an F-bomb. Would have been nice to hear one song where Eminem doesn't swear at all, but I guess it's too much to ask from him. Very well written and heartfelt song. Also, like Toy Soldiers, while not quite as fantastic as the 1989 Martika song it samples, is also a very good song and would have also made this list if it had made the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list. Glad I could praise at least one rap song in this video.
Fathers, be good to your daughters.
This is definitely gonna be my most controversial pick for the list. Daughters by John Mayer is one of those songs you either really love or you really hate. On the one hand, this song was acclaimed by critics, won the Grammy Award for Song of the Year in 2005, and is a go-to song for father-daughter events. On the other hand though, I know the song has made a few people's worst hit songs lists. Beyond the fact that it's a stripped-back acoustic ballad and can be perceived as boring or saccharine, I know some people hate the lyrics. Well, given the fact that this song is my pick for the penultimate best hit song of 2005, it should be obvious that I'm in the really love camp. Once again, I'm a sucker for saccharine acoustic ballads. The acoustic strumming and bits of piano sound really pleasant, and John Mayer's soft voice just fits perfectly. He thankfully doesn't sound too willowy. Now let's get to the lyrics, which is the biggest source of contention. It's a father-daughter ballad where Mayer tells fathers, and to a lesser extent mothers, to treat their daughters with love, because if they do, they'll grow up and treat a man with love too. I have heard some people argue that the lyrics are sexist or reinforce gender roles, or sleazy and entitled. Personally though, I've never gotten either impression. First of all, I don't think the song is implying that all girls will grow up to become mothers. mothers, or that girls are dainty and weak, and that's why you should treat them well. But for the girls who will grow up to become mothers, yeah, father issues can affect their future relationships. Fathers should be treating their kids well anyway. I can appreciate the sentiment here, and it's not just daughters. On the bridge, Mayer says, boys will be gone without warmth from a woman's good heart, implying that boys who love a girl whose father treated her well will themselves become fathers who should treat their daughters well too. And as for the sleazy/entitled angle, that he's only saying this because his girlfriend has daddy issues, and that makes her less of a good partner to him, again, I've never gotten that impression here. I think he does genuinely care about his girl, and wants other girls to potentially have flowering relationships too. How your parents raise you can affect you as an adult, and parents should be nurturing their kids anyway. You could argue there are flaws in the writing here, and I could see why some people might hate this song, but personally, I can't bring myself to hate it. Daughters is a very good song, though not quite good enough to be number one. But before I talk about the song that actually is number one, let's go through a handful of honorable mentions.
Wake me up when September ends.
Yup, I'm talking about all three of Green Day's singles from the 2005 Year-End Hot 100 list in this video. Not my first time talking about multiple songs by the same artist in one video in the series so far, but it is my first time talking about three by the same artist. And it's also pretty coincidental that this video is coming out the month after September. Not quite as catchy as the two Green Day singles I already talked about, hence why it's not on the list proper, but it's my number 11. It's got a great power ballad-esque pop rock sound with wistful poetic lyrics that, like Five for Fighting's 100 Years, gives me the impression of summer fading and leaves turning brown the fall. Wake me up when this song is playing.
Oh, I gotta know, baby.
Here we got a song by the same three artists we heard on 2004's Yeah. Like that song, Usher just sounds great with his incredible vocals, singing about a girl he loves. Unlike that song though, Lovers and Friends is a slow R&B jam that really feels like a leftover track from Confessions. Despite not being the credited lead artist, Usher is really the star of the song. Speaking of which, I'm not sure why Lil Jon is the artist with top billing on here, given he doesn't even come until the second half. Plus, his verse is the weakest part of the song. Unlike Yeah, which was an upbeat crunk song, he doesn't really fit on a slow R&B jam like this one, and that kept this song off the list proper. But the song itself is still decent.
Since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time.
Like I said, all three of Kelly Clarkson's songs that debuted on the 2005 Year-End Hot 100 list are pretty good. Behind These Hazel Eyes was the best of all three, but Since You've Been Gone is the second best. Like Behind These Hazel Eyes, it's another upbeat pop rock song about moving on from a breakup, although this one is a lot happier, with its brighter sound, and lyrics about how the narrator's ex-partner never really loved her, and since they've broken up, they're a lot happier. They can breathe for the first time, and finally get what they want. It's very anthemic, and as always, Kelly Clarkson nails it with her vocals, especially with her belting on the chorus and bridge. I hope this song will never be gone from my head.
I won't let another minute go to waste. I want you and your beautiful soul.
Like How We Days Collide, this is another song that I can definitely see some people finding too saccharine, but that I can't help but love. Beautiful Soul by Jesse McCartney is a really great pop rock love song thanks to its upbeat catchy melody, catchy guitars, including that electric guitar in the bridge, occasional twinkling sounds, and heartfelt lyrics about not just wanting a pretty face or anyone to hold, but someone's beautiful soul. McCartney really brings out his former boy band member status out with these teen pop lyrics, and he manages to not oversell or undersell his performance. He really loves the girl he's singing about, and I really love this song. I don't want my love for her to go to waste.
All my life I've waited. This is true.
I talked about On the Way Down as an honorable mention in the 2004 video, and here's the second single from Take It All Away, and only other Ryan Cabrera song to be a year-end hit. Well, not quite as good as On the Way Down, or the third single, 40 Kinds of Sadness, which didn't chart at all. True is still a pleasant acoustic ballad, which, man, that's the fourth song I'm talking about in this video to fit that description. You might be noticing a pattern here. But anyway, Ryan Cabrera's great vocals, including his falsetto, the soft pleasant melody, and sincere lyrics about how you've been waiting all your life to be with the one you love, but being scared to know the outcome sound great. I really like this song. It's true. Okay, that's 5 honorable mentions, but we still got one more thing to talk about before I reveal my number 1, the ineligible honorable mentions. These are songs that came out in, or were popular in, 2005, but they never made the 2005 Year-End Hot 100 list, but if they had, they would have definitely made this list. Let's talk about these 5 ineligible honorable mentions.
I just lean on you, 'cause baby, you're my better half.
Third time talking about a Keith Urban song as an ineligible honorable mention in this series, and this is definitely the best one so far. This would have beat out Mississippi Girl as the best country song to make the 2005 Year-End Hot 100 list if it had made the list. Like the last Keith Urban song I talked about, You're My Better Half is a really fun, catchy, upbeat country song that will never leave your head once you hear it. And the lyrics about leaning on your partner when things feel rough, because the sweet love she gives makes you feel like you can make it through anything, are really sweet. It's sure to brighten your day after a long day at work, fitting with that first verse. This song is my better half.
Hey, how long till the music drowns you out? Don't put words up in my mouth.
This was the lead single from Ashlee Simpson's sophomore album, I Am Me. Unfortunately, despite being a top 20 hit, being released in September 2005 and getting caught in between 2005 and 2006 led to this one not making either year-end list. That's a real shame because this song is up there with Pieces of Me in terms of quality and could have served as Simpson's second year-end hit. It plays into that 2000s bratty pop rock sound with the upbeat guitars and lyrics about telling another girl who's accusing her of stealing her boyfriend that she didn't and that she's just spreading a baseless rumor. You could argue it's a dated 2000s pop song, but I personally love it. I want this music to drown everything out.
Now you don't know what it's like. Welcome to my life.
For this ineligible honorable mention, it was a toss-up between either this song or Fall to Pieces by Avril Lavigne, but I decided this song was better. Welcome to My Life is a pretty good emo/pop rock song about teen angst and feeling misunderstood. It could be interpreted as typical teenage moodiness, or perhaps a teenager suffering from depression, not having any clear direction in life, and being betrayed by their peers. This Canadian band pulls off that angsty teenage pop punk sound really well, and unlike Headley, this band actually did see chart success in America, even if they never had a song quite chart high enough to be a year-end hit. But I'm glad the song at least made the top 40. Good song.
Wake up on a Saturday night. Could be New York, maybe Hollywood and Vine.
Didn't quite chart high enough to make the year-end list, but Wake Up is yet another great pop rock/bubblegum pop song, courtesy of Hilary Duff, thanks to its catchy melody, upbeat synthesizers and guitars, and lyrics about going out, traveling the world, and having fun to skip the same old routines. You could argue it sounds a bit too Disney-fied. I mean, it is sung by the star of Lizzie McGuire after all, but still an incredibly fun song, and one that manages to be a perfect Night in the Town or Seeing the World sort of song. Like I said in the 2003 video, I might be a 26-year-old man, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I gladly listen to Hilary Duff. This song is awesome.
This is your life. Are you who you wanna be?
I'm gonna be honest, this is my favorite song of all time. No exaggeration. This Is Your Life by Switchfoot is the best piece of music I've ever heard and likely ever will hear. It's an absolutely beautiful song thanks to its fantastic rock sound that manages to sound uplifting, almost like a contemporary worship song, which is very fitting for this Christian rock band. And the lyrics, this is your life. Are you who you want to be? Is how you're living your life right now what you dreamed to be as a kid when you were young and had no responsibilities? Are you living your best possible life? It's an incredibly deep song with a fantastic message that's certainly resonant to me and just about anyone regardless of religious orientation. Seriously, check this song out. You won't regret it. But since This Is Your Life unfortunately didn't make the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list, I had to pick a song that actually did make the list to be my number one best hit song of 2005. And let's talk about what that song is.
Without you, all I'm going to be is incomplete.
Like I said at the start of the video, 2005 didn't have an obvious number one best song. There were good songs on the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list, obviously. I wouldn't be making this video if there weren't. But compared to the 5 previous year-end Hot 100 lists, there wasn't any one song on it that, as soon as I heard it while listening through the list, I either instantly knew it was going to be my number one, or was marginally better than virtually every other song on the list, and had an 80 to 90% chance of being number one. All my number ones for the 5 previous videos in this series fall into one of those two camps. Again, if This Is Your Life by Switchfoot had made the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list, 2005 would have had an instant obvious number one. But since it didn't, I wasn't 100% sure which song I'd choose as the best. Honestly, it was actually a 3-way toss-up between this song as well as Mockingbird and Daughters. I knew those 3 songs were the top 3 best hit songs of 2005, but I initially had some difficulty deciding which one was the definitive best. They're all fantastic songs, and I went back and forth on which one was going to be my number one a few times when trying to sort them for the list. And who knows, maybe a year or two from now, my opinions will shift, and I'll decide that actually Daughters is the best hit song of 2005. However, as of right now, I've settled on my opinion that Incomplete by the Backstreet Boys is a number one best hit song of 2005. This is my 3rd time talking about the Backstreet Boys in this series, and it's the 2nd time they had a song at number one on one of my best hit songs lists. And while definitely not as iconic as I Want It That Way, Incomplete is still a fantastic song. This was the band's first new song after their 2-year hiatus following their greatest hits album, The Hits Chapter 1. By this point, the boy band and T-pop crazes of the late 90s and early 2000s were pretty much gone. All the boy bands and T-pop stars that defined that era had either broken up, quit, faded into irrelevance, or were adapting to a much more mature sound. And well, it only made sense that the Backstreet Boys also tried to craft a new mature image for themselves as well. And the public's first taste of that was with their newest post-hiatus single, Incomplete. Shedding their teen pop sound, Incomplete is an atmospheric power ballad that's definitely the rockiest sound we'd ever heard from the Backstreet Boys up to this point. The song's sound gives me the imagery of someone standing in the middle of a desolate wasteland and being the only person within a 2-mile radius shouting into the void. There's a real sense of loneliness and desperation here, elevated highlighted by the piano on the verses and acoustic guitars and strings, most prominently on the chorus. The song hits harder than any previous Backstreet Boys song, especially when the song's first chorus comes in after a couple seconds of instrumental silence with no transition of volume. It just hits you like a brick wall and really makes the song hit a harder punch. It's very fitting for a post-breakup song about feeling empty and not being able to go on without your ex-partner. No matter how hard you try to carry on and pretend like you never knew them, all you're ever going to be without them is incomplete. You can't face this world alone, and wherever you're going is anybody's guess. Lyrically, it is similar to their previous hit, Show Me the Meaning of Being Lonely, only swapping out the feeling of forlornness with anguish. But the Backstreet Boys can still pull that feeling off. These guys' vocals sound very pleading and desperate, and you can feel their emotions as if they're shouting to the wind about how lonely they feel all alone. They are fantastic vocalists, and they manage to sound phenomenal, whether they're singing a heartfelt love ballad, an upbeat dance tune, or a pleading lonely power ballad like this song. They definitely pulled off sounding more mature here, and I can imagine their fans, who are now a bit older themselves and have matured a bit, would have loved it just as much as their previous discography. It does sound quite a bit different from any previous song they released up to this point, but not so much to the point where it sounds completely out of place for them. Heck, the follow-up single, Just Want You to Know, which unfortunately didn't chart high enough to make the 2005 year-end Hot 100 list, does try to sound more happy sounding and major key, yet still with more of a pop rock feeling to it. Perhaps that should have been the lead single instead. But anyway, this pivot in sound really was the best way for them to come back. It's familiar, yet also new, and gives the band a more mature sound to them, allowing them to stay more relevant, unlike most of the other boy bands from the late 90s to early 2000s, which have pretty much disappeared by this point. I guess you could say the boy band craze was never gone. And while this group's popularity definitely did die down over the next few years, and they never had another year-end hit, I think this song was a great final year-end single for the Backstreet Boys to go out on. Incomplete is an absolute whirlwind of a song, and unlike the other two songs in this list's top 3, where there were nitpicks I had, I don't have any negatives to say about Incomplete. That plus how hard-hitting and great it sounds is ultimately what gave the song the edge over the other two songs in my top 3, and contributed to it being my #1 best hit song of 2005. I may not have immediately known it was going to be the best hit song for this video, but I'm happy with my choice here, at least for the time being. Without this song, all I'm going to be is incomplete. And that's the top 10 best hit songs of 2005. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for the top 10 best hit songs of 2006 video, which I hope to put out before I do the top 10 best and worst hit songs of 2025 videos in December. I'll see you for that. Till then.